The city of Chicago is most known for starting the hip-hop genre called drill music. Now, the art of drilling is gunshots, actually shooting or attacking your opposition. But the difference in drill music is you come back and you actually incriminate yourself and talk about what you did or how you slid on the people that you dislike. Drill music also encompasses really nasty things like talking about dead people or dead ops and all of that. But really, drill music is talking about what you do and coming back and actually do it. Now, in politics, there is no such thing as drill, but Black Chicago is probably going to become the home of drill politics. You see, if this was a rap song, Black Chicago literally drilled Kamala Harris. Now, I know what you're thinking. Cook County voted blue, right? Rewind. In 2020, the state of Illinois went to Joe Biden by a lot, okay? It was 57.5%. He received 3.471 million votes. Donald Trump received 2.446 million votes. So he beat him by a million and some change, all right? And Cook County at that time, if you look at what's in the blue, you will see 1.725 million went to Joe Biden, while only 558,000 went to Donald Trump. So that's about a disparity about 50%, okay? That was in 2020. Now, in 2024, Kamala Harris still won the state of Illinois. But look at the difference though. Now she has almost 2.95 million votes. Donald Trump gained 2.416 million votes, which is a difference. He closed the gap, almost 500,000 votes. If you look at, again, what happened in the state the year prior, he got beat by a million votes. But now, if you look at it, he's closing in on 500 and something thousand votes, right? That was just in one election campaign. And let's look at Cook County. In Cook County this year, he basically came up 5%. So Kamala Harris only had 69.7% of the vote, and he had 29% of the vote. Basically, that's a 10-point swing. She lost 5 points, or Democrats lost 5 points. He gained 5 points. Even though Illinois went blue, you can see the vote, it was 500,000 less Democratic voters than it was 4 years prior. And I have to say that Black Chicago played a big role in changing a lot of people's minds, not only in Chicago, but all over the nation. Even many of us know some of the people's names. There was Catatrust.
We have to let them know that you're not going to continue to depend on our vote. You know, Chicago is a Democratic stronghold, and we've been that way for years. And we are allowing our elected officials to mistreat us by continuing to support the Democratic Party. It is now time for us to stand up and to vote differently.
Then there's Miss P. Ray of Chicago Red.
But the South Side has been under-resourced, underfunded for years, for decades. We have schools that need to be reopened. We have buildings that are abandoned that need to be business operated.
Then there's the People's Alderman, the legendary Mr. George Blakemore.
And I've been outraged for several years now about the invasion of these undocumented, illegal people coming into the city of Chicago and the negative effect that it has on the Black community.
And of course, there's Zoe.
The city of Chicago is the most corrupt city on the planet, and it's run by a Democratic machine. And you guys have been doing this for decades. You guys have been taking our generational wealth, the blacks helping as well. And it's going to stop because Trump is getting in office.
Now, in comparisons to the other cities, nobody was more vocal than Black Chicago. To be honest, there were Black men individually that were coming out in support of Trump, but this was the first time that we saw African-American women coming out to support Donald Trump. And the difference is this: when you have a woman come out and support Donald Trump, it hits differently than a man. when you see men come out to support Donald Trump, you can easily tie it to misogyny. Oh, they want to put the black woman down. These black men are haters. These black men are dumb. These black men are uneducated. This is what they will say. And they always say that black men are dumb or uneducated if they vote for Trump.
All the black people voted for Trump have one like major thing in common. No education, no higher education whatsoever, not completed. And, education ain't everything, but it's a lot. Ask a black man why he's voting for Trump, and he gonna say something dumb like, he's helping the economy, but when you ask him to expand, like that's the end of it. He's helping the economy. How? And they can't say nothing else. He just pulling. Ask one. Ask a local black man in your hometown why he's voting for Trump, and watch the bullshit that come out his mouth. What did 50 Cent say to Floyd Mayweather? Ask a black Trump supporter to read a page from a Harry Potter book. I dare you. And then come back to this post and tell me what the response is. Because they all have that one thing in common, I swear.
But that can't be said about a lady like Kata Truss, who's been in the west side of Chicago for a long time. She's a married black woman. She has children from the west side. Nobody would dare call Kata Truss a misogynist. She's a black woman. She's a wife. She's involved in her community. Before reaching the national headline news, she was a regular person, according to her. You couldn't say that about Miss P. Ray, who was a mother. It's hard to say that about Zoe. So these black women in Chicago Red, they put the mirror to the face of the Democratic Party that black men could not point out. Because remember, black men are not listened to. Black men are the people that always have an issue and they're outcasts in the community. But when it came to these women, these black women who lived in Chicago who were former Democratic supporters, it brought a lot of attention to not only other black men, to other black women. Then you started to see other pockets of black society get involved, such as Black Philadelphia.
How hard has inflation hit you?
It hit me hard. It's hitting me hard.
What do you blame for it?
I blame the federal government at this point. If a working class mom who works as a paralegal cannot buy a $2 bell pepper because it's now $5, imagine a mother living on food stamps. Imagine a mother who's making minimum wage trying to feed children. They're killing us without killing us. If you understand that. They're killing us without telling us they're killing us. They're hurting people in ways that they can't help themselves.
And if we look at Philadelphia County also voted differently than what it did in 2020. Kamala Harris usually gets about 92% of the vote. She didn't get that much of the vote like she did last time. And that is all because of Black Chicago. See, Chicago is one of the blackest cities in America historically, with a history of segregation. Now, you have a lot of wealth in Black Chicago, but you have a lot of poverty. And Chicago Red and its subsequent people showed the real truth about what was going on, especially with the migrant crisis. You see, you had historic black neighborhoods on the west side of Chicago and also on the south side of Chicago that were being mistreated. And when this came out, a lot of African Americans was like, wait a minute, hold on. Now, typically we don't mind helping migrants or other people that are in need because we know how it feels to be at the bottom. But wait a minute, I gotta preserve myself. Wait a minute, they're living in nicer places than us. Wait a minute, we have homeless blacks here in the city of Chicago or in the city of Philadelphia or in Black Boston, and those people can't get into any housing. But somebody from Venezuela can come in and do so, and some of these people are committing crimes. I don't even feel safe. Wait a minute, I'm in Chicago and I see Venezuelan gang members. Wait a minute, I'm in Denver and I see Venezuelan gangs taking over apartments. Oh, wait a minute, something isn't right. My self-preservation is at risk. And we can thank Black Chicago for going to those city hall meetings that all of us watch on Forbes and just letting the hell break loose. I'm telling you, Black Chicago was trending not only on Forbes, on Fox News, on Fox Business Channel. They were doing crazy interviews all over the nation, all over the world. I believe Zoe went to the Breakfast Club. They were the progenitors of this whole movement, getting everybody started. And no disrespect to black men, because yes, black men were voting on their own interest. but nobody got it popping like Black Chicago. Black Chicago was coming and telling it like it was, while other cities were afraid to talk about it, were afraid to confront it. Now you have some of your brothers and sisters out in Harlem, don't get me wrong, right? They was going hard, but pound for pound, Black Chicago slid on Kamala Harris. And literally in 2028, if Cook County turns a little bit more supportive towards Republicans, Illinois is a red state outside of Cook County and another few counties. But Cook County is just so big. If they lose another 10 or 15 points, Illinois might go red. I wouldn't doubt it. Illinois is typically a lot of those Midwestern states. So a lot of Republicans outside of a few big cities. Look at Wisconsin. Milwaukee was devastating. Milwaukee had like 30 or 35%, but Milwaukee, it was more blacks. It was close in Milwaukee County. In places like Las Vegas, it was dead even. Republican, Democrat was dead even. And a lot of blacks in Wisconsin, which is far from Chicago, was pulling the trigger for Donald Trump. All that people have to do in these big Democratic counties, they can still win. Democrats can still win. But if they win like 60-40, they lose the state. If you win 60-40 in Cook County, you will never see another Democratic president again. So guys, what do you think? You should Will Shooter Jackson back at it again with another episode of Fair Use. I'm out.